Hello and welcome. You are listening to episode 105 of the Nearly Men Video Games Podcast, coming to you live on Twitch from Scotland on Thursday, 24th of March. I am Colin NM, and joining me this evening is Blunderboy87.
Ahoy hoy!
Yes! And together with Paul Kozinski, we are the Nearly Men. And this episode of the podcast is brought to you by executive producer Hamster Boy.
Mr. Producer.
We have nothing to do with the video games industry. We don't make them. We don't sell them. We're not even particularly good at them. We are the Nearly Men, and at some point you have probably kicked our asses online.
Kapow!
Hello!
Hello, Colin and M.
How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good. It's
It's a bit echoey in here, isn't it?
teachers away.
Senses away, leaving the students to run the roost.
So we're just enjoying the rule of the roost.
Yeah, although he is using his otherworldly powers to push our buttons tonight.
He is bedecked in snotters, locked in his COVID cell and pushing buttons to make us all look and sound wonderful this evening. So I hope you're feeling better soon, Paolo. But just you stay in there.
Don't leave the room. Doors
Do
locked.
not leave the room. So here we are. It's another podcast. I missed the last one.
You did, didn't you? Yeah.
And but I was watching. I missed the last one.
You were out, weren't you?
I had the Rona, and now Paolo's got it.
And then I missed one way back in the day because I had the Rona.
Exactly.
And that was one of the first state of plays as well, remember? I was lying in my bed, like, watching, messaging the chat, like, I don't understand what's happening.
So, yeah, it was a bit of an interesting one. But yeah, so yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to be recovered, and hopefully Paolo will, and hopefully on the next episode of the podcast we'll all be back happy,
I know,
and healthy.
Wait, will we? We won't. The next podcast I'm away.
Oh, here we go. I think
the next podcast I'm in Italy.
We're going to have to just start changing the podcast name to Nearly the Nearly Men. It's just gonna...
Sometimes Nearly Men. I meant to say that the other night. I was like, oh wait, I think I'm in Italy the next podcast after this week.
Oh well, let's hope Paolo pulls through then. Let's hope he... Paolo, do not walk into the light. Do not walk into the light.
But the podcast after that, we should all be together.
We should be fine. We should be absolutely fine. Anyway, it's lovely to be here, to have all you lovely folks listening to us out there in podcast land, and of course have all you lovely folks in the chat as well. It's nice to see you all. Thank you for being with us. Can't wait to get started. We're going to get on with it. We're going to start talking about some video games news, and find out what we've been playing, and of course what you guys have been playing as well. If you would like to let us know what you've been playing or give us your thoughts on any video games news, well, here is how you get in touch.
Reaching the Nearly Men is easier than ever. Search for the Nearly Men Video Games Podcast on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or your preferred podcast player. We stream on Twitch. Follow Colin at Colin_NM. Follow Paul at Paul Kozinski, all one word. Follow Blunderboy at Blunderboy87. And let's get social on Facebook as The Nearly Men, Twitter and Instagram where we are at Nearly Men, or go old school and email us on info@thenearlymen.com. Need all that again? Links are on our website, thenearlymen.com. So what are you waiting for?
Yeah, so... what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
Oh, that was quite something, Blunderboy. That was quite something. Caught me off guard a little bit there.
Whenever we say that, I just get flashbacks to Scary Movie.
Yeah, or else.
What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for? Do it now. Paolo actually does a much better impression of Arnie, but he's not here. You know, so it's fine. You might notice, Blunder. What do you think of my lovely T-shirt? Do you like
It's
my?
beautiful.
Lovely.
Calling in red. Look at you thrusting your chest out.
Dancing with you,
Oh,
cheek to cheek.
I'm so glad you went there words because I tried to rhyme and it came up with a not a nice word.
No, you. I shudder to think what you were going to say, but it's probably
Nothing
best.
risque. Just a bit.
Well, I don't. Either way. Yes, I'm wearing the lovely Nearly Main Heads T-shirt in red. All the colours have got like fancy things. There's like Irish green, mineral blue, and then there's red. So this is red. This is red. But I like it very much. I like it very
It's a
much.
nice red. It's really vibrant.
It's good. It's good. Don't forget, folks, you can own this. I mean, not this very T-shirt, but you
Right
can own,
off Colin's back.
I mean, for the right price, you never know. You probably could, but you can have a T-shirt like this. We've got all the Nearly Men merch and hoodies available at printbunker.co.uk/collections/the Nearly Men. If you go to printbunker.co.uk, click on the little collections tab, you'll find us right there, and you can buy these buy the T-shirts and hoodies there. You will be supporting the Nearly Men, and you get to represent Team Nearly Men. T-shirts are $15.99. That includes postage and packaging. And the hoodies are an absolute snip at £20.99, which I think's very, very good. Very
for a
good
custom print hoodie, and it's so comfy. I say this every time, but it's one of the comfiest hoodies I've ever got. I have a lot of these.
Is very comfortable. It's a very comfortable one.
I was getting mine tonight, but it was at the bottom of a pile of clothes that we were tidying up rooms, and I was like, "Oh, I can't get under there for that." I was like, "I will cry under the pile of clothes."
Well, mine is so. Unfortunately, mine ends up covered in cat hair because the cats also find it very, very comfortable. So that's a bit of a problem. But yeah. So if you'd like to get the merch is for sale, please do buy it if you'd like to. And if you do, remember, send us a picture. Send us a nice selfie of you representing Team Nearly Men. We always love to see it.
Stick it in Twitter, tag us, tweet it, retweet it, place it in other places.
That is what to do. I see the Nearly Men accounts just advising people. We've got some updated prices. A Sweaty Colin T-shirt as was requested in the chat. They're available for $49.99, and Sweaty Colin cat hair T-shirts are available for $79.99.
Wow, I love how the cats are more expensive than you.
Indeed. Well, there's an added bit of distressing. You know, like where we spend thousands of pounds now. You can see for like distressed denim or distressed leather jacket or something. Well, that's very much distressed.
I love the distressed jeans, which are pretty much non-existent. It's just like two bits of denim hanging from a zip, and you're like, where is the actual trouser?
That's horrific, isn't it? And they're like £4,000 or something.
They're so expensive. You're just like, what the fudge?
And a T-shirt that Blunderboy looked at briefly is available for $99.99. There we are.
A glancing look. You'll never
just
get
a T-shirt that's received side eye from Blunderboy87.
Just it's like upturn of the nose.
If those things are, a bit too rich for your blood, though, you just remember you can get the normal T-shirts, completely unmolested by Nearly Men or animals or anything, for $15.99, and the hoodies are $20.99. Right, Blunder. There has been some news. There is some news.
Yeah.
First up, I'm quite excited about this. CD Projekt Red announced that there is a brand new Witcher game in the works.
Ooh.
Which I'm very excited about.
I'm very excited too. My ears like pretty much fell off my head when I heard it, because they said they weren't doing it anymore.
Yeah.
They said they weren't doing it anymore, so I was like,
So they very much sort of announced a while back that The Witcher 3 was the end of The Witcher. But yeah, they announced a lovely screen grab, as we can see here, right next to me. The Witcher, a new saga begins, and there was a statement released on the CD Projekt Red website, which says, "We're happy to announce that the next installment in the Witcher series of video games is currently in development, kicking off a new saga in the franchise. This is an exciting moment as we're moving from Red Engine to Unreal 5, or Unreal Engine 5, beginning a multi-year strategic partnership with Epic Games. It covers not only licensing, but technical development of Unreal Engine 5, as well as potential future versions of the Unreal Engine where relevant. We'll closely collaborate with Epic Games developers, with the primary goal being to help tailor the engine for open world experiences. At this point, no further details regarding the game, such as development timeframe or release date, are available." And then it says, "Red Engine, the technology which powers Cyberpunk 77, is still being used for the development of the upcoming Cyberpunk 2077 expansion." So there we go. An interesting one. What are your thoughts on that?
So I hadn't read the statement, or I hadn't seen the tagline, "The new saga begins." So I'm wondering, I'm hoping, and this is just a me thing, I think. I'm hoping they're not like, "Let's play in the past," because you kind of know how the world's going to go. I don't get that much enjoyment out of playing through events we've heard
Prequels.
spoke about a lot. Yeah, but
Yeah.
like some prequels, something like Resident Evil Zero, I didn't mind because it was a whole new story that just came out of nowhere and kind of messed up the timeline, but in a good way. But I don't want to be like, "Here we're Vesemir doing all the things we've heard Vesemir talk about." I don't want something like that. I want it to be like a
Yeah.
continuation of the Witcher line. I want to see what they did next, if they figured a way to make new Witchers with all the bad tortury stuff, or maybe even looking at the different houses of Witchers. That'd be quite interesting.
I
Like,
wonder if you're going to play as Ciri.
that'd be a tricky one because they'd have to make one of the endings canon. And Ciri never became an actual Witcher still.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
That's true.
But yeah, there's like 3 endings to Witcher 3.
To Witcher 3, yep.
Yeah.
I think on my ending, that would be okay. That would be possible.
Yeah, big ending too. Yeah.
I kind of hope we still get to play as Geralt. I want to be Geralt. I did wonder if you could play as Ciri, but I would rather be Geralt.
I wonder if they'll make Geralt the new Vesemir. As like the wise old mentor, and you play like the new generation of Witcher, maybe? That could be interesting.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know, do the books continue? I want to read the books, but
I've never read the books, I have to say, so I don't really know.
Yeah, so, because I know they've done a lot with the Gwent game, which is like set in the world, but they use the card, it's like a card game.
It's a card game, yeah. And you actually play that in The Witcher 3, but they made a sort of standalone game of it as well. I could never understand Gwent in The Witcher 3.
I was like, it's the one quest line. I was like, "You failed." I was like, "I know." But no, but interesting to see. I don't know where they could take it, and I'm not worried, even though we did have the shenanigans of Cyberpunk, because I think they know if they mess up The Witcher, they would go bankrupt and defunct.
Paulo says, "Surely Geralt is the Witcher, and everyone else is a Witcher," which I think's probably. It's just the fact that it says a new saga begins makes me think that. But we don't know. What are you thinking about Unreal Engine 5 and the move away from the Red Engine? What's your thoughts on that?
I'm going to do that thing where I'm the worst game ever. I don't really get engines. I don't know what they do. So I'm like, that's interesting. But I'm like,
so did you see the Unreal Engine tech demo that they showed a while ago? It was in these sort of like caverns.
Oh yeah,
and it was astonishing lighting effects and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's Unreal Engine 5.
Are they just moving away? I'm guessing Red was their engine they developed.
Yeah.
And they're just moving it to the bigger. Well, it makes more sense. There's more resources and more people use it. Like most companies use Unreal Engine, don't they? I know. Capcom have their own. They've got the RE engine, which stands for Reach for the Moon, not even Resident Evil. But that's what Resident Evil 7, 8, and the remakes and Devil May Cry 5 were built on. So I know they use that. They made their own engine, but no, it makes sense if they're looking for more support and they're going to work in partnership and they're going to have an engine which has more resources, which could also lighten workload in a sense, maybe.
The RE engine that does not stand for Resident Evil. I always thought it did. I thought RE engine meant it's reach for the moon, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah, so an engine's basically a very difficult thing to quantify, but it's where you build the game. It's how the game runs. It's everything that sort of manages the various moving parts of the game. The interesting thing about so I think there's a couple of things. First of all, Cyberpunk was a bit of a disaster, technically. So I kind of get the impression that maybe the Red Engine's got some limitations that they're kind
possibly.
of having problems with, or maybe it's just been so buggy that they don't want to end up in that sort of state again. The interesting thing about Unreal Engine 5 is that when they did the tech demo, they basically showed up the fact that there's essentially a sort of library of assets that they are building in Unreal Engine that can be used essentially by anybody in the engine. Now, if they have spent a lot of time in the Red Engine building a cyberpunk world, there's not many assets they're going to be able to use in a Witcher world.
Yeah.
For instance, so they'd have to build everything from the ground up to do that. Even trees that there might be in Cyberpunk probably wouldn't necessarily work in The Witcher. So I'm possibly thinking it might be a couple of things. It might be a stability thing. It might be that they feel there's more legs in I think there's also the possibility that they maybe just feel that unfortunately the Red Engine's sort of
crap.
Well, not even. I mean, there's that possibility, but I think it's been tainted.
Yeah.
I think there's a certain stink on Cyberpunk that's quite difficult to get off that engine now. I do wonder if there's an element of that. There was a few folk panicking were worried that the mention of Epic Games and the fact that Epic Games, obviously, they own Unreal Engine and all that. They were worried that it was going to end up being some sort of like Epic exclusive or anything like that. Almost immediately, Cyberpunk replied and basically said, "That's not the case. Their games are going to be everywhere. There's not going to be any sort of like, at least at the moment, they have no plans to make any sort of exclusive deal with one console or the other." So that's quite good. I do see Baker Boy in the chat saying that CD Projekt Red lost so many developers, maybe they don't have a lot of folk who know how the Red Engine works. There might be a thing. I remember when Unreal Engine came along, the announcement came, and it really excited so many devs because, whether you're a big AAA dev or an indie dev, it looked like potentially because of the big asset libraries and various things like that, there was lots of tools. And if there's a sort of uniformity and it's like, oh, everybody uses Unreal Engine 5, then everyone will know how to work it potentially, which could be a great thing and allow a lot of accessibility and allow people to dream very big.
Aye.
There's other folk.
A nice thing as well that kind of brings the community back into game development almost.
I know a lot of other folk though said that there is also the danger that if every game's in the same bloody engine, then everything will feel quite samey.
Yeah, true.
So there's kind of peaks and troughs, but Unreal Engine, from what I saw, and I do see Paolo also saying the Matrix demo is very exciting for Unreal 5. Did you try that? The Matrix?
I never, because I'm not a big Matrix fan, but I heard it was quite interesting.
So the Matrix demo on PS5, I played it on, I can't remember what it's called. It's called the Matrix I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, that was impressive. That was impressive, the way they built it, and it kind of explains how they use the Unreal Engine to build it. So yeah, I think it's quite a good thing. I think it's going to be the engine that's going to power the big games. So it makes sense that The Witcher's going to be building the thing right there, and I'm quite excited. Cyberpunk went so wrong for CD Projekt Red. They know The Witcher. They know that world. the world itself, they've got the books to gather. They've got characters. They're not having to necessarily come up with everything this time around. They're more, the creative side of things is there. They're just going to bring that world to life.
Yeah,
and it seems like a sort of safe bet for them, because after what happened with Cyberpunk, they kind of need a home run next time, and I think the Witcher series will give them the best bet. But I'm excited. I can't wait for more Witcher.
Yeah.
Although I think I will be waiting for quite a while before that's coming out by the sound of things, if there's no timelines or anything.
Yeah, it's a early announcement. Wait forever.
That was not the only big announcement that there was. Belinda, there was a big announcement from a dev that's quite close to your heart. Capcom. What did they have to say for themselves?
So they were celebrating the 25 years since Biohazard came out, which is named for Resident Evil in Japan. And then they kind of did a bunch of things, and everyone kept getting really annoyed. So they did this countdown, which everyone thought was Resident Evil, but the super smart people were like, that countdown coincides with Street Fighter 5 tournament ending, and that's when they announced Street Fighter 6. So that happened. And then they were teasing all this. They did this loading screen picture from Resident Evil 4. And people were like, they're going to announce a Resident Evil 4 remake. And then they faded it a little bit, and it had the original game's logos. And they were like, oh my gosh, they're finally doing HD remasters of the original games for the current gen consoles. Then it turned out they were just releasing a digital library of like design work from the games, which was cool. But also everyone was like, are you kidding on? And then they were like, oh, there's going to be an announcement. And the announcement was literally like a poster thanking everyone for their support over the years. And that the event ends in a couple of weeks. And we're like, we know, because it's the end of the year. So everyone was raging online. It was just one of those things where it was like everyone got them. I didn't, but everyone else was getting themselves so like, they're going to announce this, they're going to announce this, they're going to announce this. And then it was like, thanks, gang, we're out of here, bye.
Who is running their announcement team? Is it Nintendo?
An absolute troll. I love it. They're just like, gotcha. And then people are still like, I mean, they could still announce something, there's still time.
There's still time.
You're getting your hopes up because your hopes are just dashed. I'm like, Capcom either announce it really early and do a good build up to it, or they announce it and it's out and you're like, wait, what? How did that happen? So I think people just need to calm their ham.
Yeah.
And it's about, I was saying that to Paul in the last podcast. I was like, they need to get their finger out and just give us the PlayStation games on current gen, just so we facelift, just like the AI do it. And as I was saying that time, they're doing Sega games, N64 games, they're doing PS3 games, and then it's just PS2 games. It's just the PS1 era just seems to sit empty. And Baker Boy was like, oh, it's because they've aged bad. I was like, we'll just give them a wee bit of a tartan up, just a wee bit of a facelift, but people want to play them for the nostalgia. I was like,
yeah, I mean, I suppose there's the problem is it's not just a wee tarting up visually, it's the tank controls and various other things. I think there are...
No, but keep it all, just give us it.
No, I hate tank controls. Don't do
I love tank controls.
I can't cope with them.
I don't get how people don't get them. It's like up means up, left means left, right means right.
Because we don't have it built in our brains like
forward means forward.
I find them a nightmare. Oh,
I love watching people try to play them. I'm like, why are you moonwalking?
I can't. It's the same way. If you, I can never work out whether I need to invert or don't invert, right?
Aye.
And I still to this day can't, because there's certain games that I need to invert and certain games that I don't, and I can't explain. So, there's this thing on internet where like folk are like, "Oh, you're a filthy inverter." Oh my god, I don't know if I am or not. I can't clarify. And there's some games where I invert and then uninvert like regularly because I can't work out what I need.
Like, I'm pretty sure I play non-inverted, but then there are some games I pick up and go, "Oh, that feels weird," and then I invert it and go, "Oh, that feels weirder," and then I'll go back to the other way and go, "Oh no, that was right the first time."
Yeah. That feels weird.
I mean. Yeah.
Invert. oh my god, that's awful. They go back,
They're
that
like, what the
feels
fuck's
less
going on?
weird.
But I think game companies are sitting on a gold mine of PS1 games that people would lap up. I'm like, just get that AI people made. That'll do it. It's fine. We just want
guys,
games.
I mean, Capcom, this is Blunderboy, who's bought
Yeah.
every one of your games 1,000 times and yet wants to buy them again.
I want to spend more money.
This is your cash cow. This is your cash cow.
It's probably one of the biggest cash cow fandoms. That and, like the original Tomb Raider games, if they brought them out in like the
I
current
think
consoles,
honestly, the
like,
Resident
people are,
Evil
like,
sort of
throw money.
Capcom community are mental. The amount of times they buy games, it's absolutely mad. And the same game, and just replay them all the time, constantly. It's mad.
I'm about to restart another Resident Evil run of all the games, and like I'm just like, I've played these a million times, but let's go again.
It's quite something. Yeah, so a bit of a disappointment. But as you said, I mean, Capcom literally could just announce something tomorrow. But they probably won't. I mean, they definitely won't.
Just to get your hopes up.
Not at all. They'll just wait till Blood bought the game a few more times and then they'll.
Oh wait, he's got every version of it. Give him something new to buy. He bought that pre-owned. We don't get money from that. Make a new one.
Yeah, so there we go. Listen, there's no Cozy's Crumbs.
We are hungry.
There's no trivia because I couldn't find any trivia. Too much to do today. Bit of a mad day. So there's no trivia. But we will move. We've got a lot of games to talk about anyway. But first things first, it's time for some subbies.
Subbies.
Anyway, your Game Pass editions. We'll get started on Game Pass editions for all you Game Pass subscribers. I did see a really interesting thing the other day. I don't have the numbers to hand, but Game Pass has been proving very good for indie devs. Apparently, making a lot of moolah for them, and is apparently very good for the indie dev scene, which is quite exciting. I'm not surprised that the subscriber numbers are still going absolutely mental on it, and it looks really interesting. So, few new additions to Game Pass, and today F1 2021 is there on console. A Memoir Blue is coming to console and PC, and Norco is coming to PC on the 29th of March. You're getting Crusader Kings on console. That's quite something. It'll be interesting to see how that runs on console. Quite excited about this one. I think this one could be good for some Nearly Men action. This is the 31st of March. Weird West is coming to consoles. This was the one that Paolo was talking about. This is the Cowboys versus the Zombies.
Oh my god, yes.
Which is like, I mean...
It's everything in Nearly Men love in one.
I mean, it's pretty much perfect, isn't it? It's perfect. I think the only thing maybe could have made it slightly better is if it was Cowboys and pirates and zombies, but I do like Cowboys too, so we're all good. On the 5th of April, can't believe we're talking about April already. How quick this year is going. MLB The Show 2022 is coming to console and cloud, and then on the 7th of April, you've got Chinatown Detective Agency coming to console and PC. So, on the Games with Gold, the Microsoft Games with Gold, from the 1st of March to the 31st of March, you've still got a little while left with this. You can get The Flame and the Flood. From the 16th of March to the 31st of March, you've got SpongeBob's Truth or Square. And from March the 16th to April the 15th, you've got Street Power Soccer. There we are. Over on the PlayStation side of town, you've got Ghost Runner. Ghost Runner for PS5. This looks pretty cool. We were talking about it last time, Blunder.
Yeah, I had a look at it.
I've not had a chance to try it out yet, but I'll definitely have to give it a go. You've also got Ghost of Tsushima Legends. That's for PS5 and PS4. This is This is now the standalone version of the multiplayer expansion that was added to Ghost of Tsushima. We're actually big fans of this. This is a lot of fun.
It's fun, yeah.
The raid's incredibly hard, but we really liked it. We all played. You play as various different forms of ghostly sort of samurai and ronin, and what was the character? Was you were an assassin, weren't you?
Yeah.
Various different legends of Tsushima who fight against the scary baddies. Scary baddies. It's a lot of fun. Really, really cool. It's basically wave-based combat, but there's also a co-op sort of story campaign and also a raid as well, which is quite something. For the PS4, you've got Ark Survival Evolved, and also for the PS4, you've got Sony on the Sony PlayStation. You've got Sonic Team Racing, which is basically a Sonic version of Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Quite a not a bad month for the PS Plus, I have to say.
Yeah, I think it was
Not bad. There's some pretty good games there.
Seeing what next one does.
Yeah, absolutely. Not really sure about games with gold, but there is a lot of value in those Game Pass editions. Yeah, lots of stuff. Talking about games, Blunder, you and I and the aforementioned Paolo, last week on Nearly Men Day, on the Thursday, we were playing Aliens Fireteam Elite.
Oh, so much fun.
We revisited it after a while. What were your thoughts?
It's still just as fun as the first time I played it, and hard. Like so hard. In fact, it took us 3 hours to go. Oh, we need to play as a team. But then once we kind of get the communication down and understood the types of aliens we were against, it was like it made sense. I never felt bad going back to starting doing it again. It was a bit like, here we go, but you were. No, it's good fun. I think it's good. It's got a really good atmosphere to it. Captures the essence of being a colonial marine and from the films. So it's.
I just love the sound of the pulse rifles.
Oh, it's so good. All the sound design is amazing.
Yeah. It is very difficult. I can't believe how hard it is.
Yeah.
And it's weird too, because the aliens, you get lots of aliens thrown at you, and the majority of them are quite easy to kill. But it's still pretty tough because you get properly swarmed, and there's just a lot to deal with, and it can go from kind of manageable to super difficult in like the blink of an eye.
Yeah,
which is quite interesting. And as you say, it took us a very long time to realize that we actually properly had to work together.
Yeah,
the majority of these sort of like 3-player or 4-player co-op games, you kind of don't need to really worry that much.
You usually kind of run away ahead and do something, or hang back and pick up collectibles. But this one, you really need to move as a team.
I actually need to stick together. And there was a few folk in the chat who obviously play the game a lot, who were sort of like getting a bit frustrated with us, I think. But also sort of pointing us out. You need to utilize bottlenecks. You need to use your
set
sort
up
of
your traps and stuff, which we were kind of like, I forgot we had those
guns and things like that, and actually use them to your favor. And it's quite an interesting one because I quite fancied this game when it first came out, and then we ended up picking it up for save point for our sci-fi themed save point. And then we hadn't really played it again since, so it was quite nice to revisit it. I'd kind of forgotten how slow a progress we were actually making through the game. And I was like, did we only manage the first chapter?
We only managed the first chapter of the theme, or the first bit of the.
Because I was like, we've only done the first level, and then you reminded me that it was like a 3-level chapter. I went,
so okay. Each level has 3 bits to it, and then the other night we only did the first bit of the 3 bits of the second chapter. We were like, huh.
So we managed one in like 2.5 hours. We did one level several times, but we didn't. We died at the last minute every time as well.
So we got to the end bit every time, but you just got a wee bit further each time we got there.
Yeah.
And the last time we really did it.
Well, last time we finally did what the people in chat had been shouting at us to do, and we went, "Oh, okay, we'll actually do it." I have to say, I I really like the game. Actually, it's good. We do have to. I think what we're going to have to, keep going with this game because
Okay, try and finish
at
it.
this rate we will only finish it until Aliens Fireteam Elite 2 comes out. Blunder, I see that
Yeah,
you've been playing a veritable buttload of games.
I have.
Why didn't you talk us through what you've been playing?
So, the first thing I'll talk about is I picked up Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origins.
Ooh.
So this is an interesting game because when it got announced, the trailer was so crap, and the main character just kept going, "I have to defeat chaos. It's chaos," and it became this internet meme where everyone was just like, "I'm edgy and chaos." And within the first 3 minutes of the game, he has said chaos about 18 times. So I think it really pokes fun at itself in that sense. But what it is an alternate reality remake of the first Final Fantasy, I think, from
Okay.
what I can gather. So it's set in the same world with the same sort of story. So the story is like the cloud of darkness or chaos has come in to destroy the world and take the crystals. And the Knight Garland goes to stop him. Then Garland becomes the Dark Knight, evil guy. Da da da.
Okay.
But 4 Warriors of Light arise and they get the crystals and they go and save the day. That's the basic story of Final Fantasy, the first one. This one, they're talking about that story. They're talking about the myth. The 4 Warriors of Light will come, and then at the start, you and your 2 pals, who you've got really normal names. You're called like Jack and Peter and Paul and something like that. Get your fight. You start by fighting a really big boss, then you get sucked through a portal. It's very confusing. You get sucked through a portal, maybe. And your 3 characters look really modern, and everyone else looks like medieval, but no one's batting an eyelid. And then they pull out their crystals, and they're like shadow crystals. They're like dark versions of the crystals they've got instead of the crystals of light. So you're kind of like, I don't know what's happening. So the story's quite clever and it plays around like your expectations. It's not just a straightforward remake. Gameplay wise, it's kind of like a Soulsborne game. You collect points, you level up points, you level up your job classes. When you rest at a safe spot, all your enemies respawn. When you die, you drop your XP, you've got to go pick it up. So it's kind of like Soulsborne Light. It's the way Darksiders 3, it reminds me of that.
Okay.
And I quite like it because, as you know, I like the idea of Soulsborns, but I'm tragic at them. This is like Soulsborne, but a bit more fun and a wee bit easier at times. The bosses still kick your butt, but it only takes like 3 attempts in the bosses in this game. Whereas in a Soulsborne game, 3 attempts is just you getting warmed up. But no, it's interesting, it's fun. Chapter kind of saying, this actually looks better than I thought it was going to be. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I never pass a Final Fantasy game. I'll always try them because I love the series. And I think they've gone out of their way. They tried to do something a bit different. It's by the team. It's not even made by Square Enix alone. They outsourced it to Tecmo, who make like the Dynasty Warrior games and the Hyrule Warrior games, and they make the Fatal Frame games.
Right.
And it's really violent and really bloody. The opening cutscene is really cool, and there's blood everywhere, and people are getting their limbs shattered off. And I was clutching my pearls for the whole opening sequence. And it's just got a real different vibe from a traditional Final Fantasy game. But I say if you like hack and slash, if you like kind of edgy, tongue-in-cheek humor and the I gotta kill chaos. I feel like job classes and Soulsborne games, but find them a bit too difficult. This could be the game for you because it's quite a bit of fun. So I'm looking forward to playing more of it. However, I did get distracted because I got Ghostwire Tokyo. Yes. Of course we did. Which we were talking about a few weeks ago. Now, again, I did the whole I don't want to know too much about the game, so I knew very little. I thought this was like an on-rails game where you were going through Tokyo defeating just random ghosts.
Okay.
And for some reason, I thought it was a third-person game. I don't know why. But it's amazing. It's basically, if you get spirit fingers, your fingers are magic. And Shibuya, the district of Tokyo, has been taken over by this guy in a mask, a horned mask. And he's cast this sort of spell. And it's separated people's spirits from their bodies. And the version you're in is like the spirit realm. And the spirits are called visitors. That's what they call them. So the visitors have come from like the land of the dead, I think. And they're going to harness the spirits of these people to create the apocalypse, maybe? something
Okay.
like that. I don't want to talk about the story too much, but the story's really good. You've got your main character, and you've got another character inside him who gives him the magic powers, and they've got lots of good backwards and forwards banter, a lot of good chat. The humor's quite good, but
Okay.
it's an open world game, so you're kind of kicking around the streets of Shibuya, fighting off visitors. Because all the humans have gone, when you go into a convenience store, there's a little cat serving you.
Ah.
It's a Nick I can't remember what he said. It's because spirit that's got the form of a cat, and
Okay.
it sells you things. All the animals in Tokyo are still there because they don't then get separated from the body. So you can pat the dogs and the cats and give the dogs dog food, and they give you rewards. And all the side quests are linked to different Japanese spirits and folklore. So it's kind of educating you in Japanese mythology while fighting bad guys and doing the story. I played it for like 6 hours, 7 hours, and I'm still only in chapter 2 because I'm just loving exploring the world. It's got a real vibrant, futuristic feel. It's all neon lights. Then it's mixed with the traditional side of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really visually cool, and the different attacks. So your different elements or your powers. So your basic power is like the wind element, which you could compare it like a handgun because you shoot it. Then you
Okay.
get fire, which kind of shoots off a big explosive bomb, so it kind of that's like a grenade launcher. And then you get the water power, which is like a shotgun, and you get a bow and arrow. And even though Baker Boy was like, I'm just worried it'll feel like you're just using guns, because there's animations and delays, and they can only do certain things. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like they just
Feel like
switch them
so.
out.
We're looking at some footage just now, and
Yes,
you seem to be fighting in like a sort of water zone, but it
yeah.
looks like there's a sort of border to the world. Are you like trapped in this location at this
So
moment, or
that's a side quest. You basically all the side quests are given to you by spirits who are upset about something. And we went to this spirit, and he's like, "I can't go to my house. A hoarder moved in and kicked me out." So you go to this house, and the house is possessed. So you've got to do all these like rituals, and you use your right joystick pad, thumbstick, to like
Mhm.
do all the different symbols and release the energy. And you
Okay.
find the spirit, and he sucks you into this like other dimension where he summons a bunch of visitors, because the visitors are drawn to spirits' torment or like
Okay.
negative energy. So he summons them to fight you. So that's like a kind of mini boss, or like you got to defeat all the spirits to escape that area and purge, exercise
Okay.
the house basically.
I
So
did
not
wonder because
areas
like
like that.
it didn't
Yeah,
look very open world at that moment, but there is a
yeah.
reason for
So
that.
that's like a special area, and then like there's all these items that are kind of get dark power in them. When you hit them, it reloads your spirit ammo basically.
Mhm.
Um, there's a really good bit where a bad guy tries to crush you in a building, and the hell world's invading, so it's changing the layout as you're running through it. And
Yeah.
the voice in your head's like, go faster, go faster, got to defeat the emblems, and it's really tense. But no, it's great, it's real nice.
So,
I'm really enjoying it.
so you were excited, but I did see that some of the reviews have been a bit so for it. So, and I did think,
Oh,
oh,
really?
like, yeah, apparently that was just somebody I saw who was referring to the reviews. I haven't read any of the reviews myself
Oh, me
yet.
neither. I
It's
need to go
just
see what they say.
somebody I knew who sort of referenced the fact that they had picked up the game even though it had some so reviews.
Yeah,
And I thought, oh, I hope it's good because I knew you were looking forward to it.
yeah.
So I'm so glad you're enjoying it.
Oh no, it's good. Like the movement's a bit clunky. Like they just moving around feels that for being a wee bit fast actioned at times, you're kind of like clunking about
That
a wee bit. That
that
feels a wee bit
was
clunky.
one of the things that the person was talking
Yeah,
about, that apparently they sort of said that historically this dev, I can't remember who the dev is of, the controls are often quite clunky with this
yeah.
dev.
Just a wee bit, but then as you get more powers and stuff, you kind of get used to it.
Yeah,
There's no dodge button, which I keep forgetting, but then I kept forgetting there's a block button. And once I started using block, I was finding it easier.
good. Well,
But no, it's really good. Definitely say it's worth picking up if you like that kind of type of gameplay, or you're just like Japanese mythology and folklore and stuff.
nice. Nice. Right. So I've been playing a few things. First up, I dived into season 6 of Sea of Thieves. Oh
Season
my goodness.
6 already? My God.
Season 6 of Sea of Thieves just launched the other week, and it launched with the forts, the sea forts update.
Oh.
Blunder, I think you'd really like the sea forts. They are fast, fast kind of paced, wave based stuff. You can see it here as we approach one of the forts.
Oh wow.
These are there's 6 of them in the map. They just sit there. You can see them as you approach them. They're all glowing, kind of green, mysterious, ghostly lights. That lets you know that fort is kind of live and ready to
Right.
be attacked. You bring your ship up. You fight the phantoms. You kill the captain in charge of the fort, and you take the loot. There's a decent amount of loot. There's not a huge amount of loot. It's not like this is not, you can do a fort in like 20 minutes.
Right.
This is not like an hour long thing. You can do it
Uh-huh.
quick. There's a huge amount of food and supplies. Whether they're going to change that, because at the moment there's huge amounts of food you can get from forts, and actually it's one of the best ways to sort of like supply up your ship is go and do a quick fort. There's a bunch of like really nice quality of life improvements, like the stove that's on the ship. You have to cook one thing at a time. There's a 4 burner stove on the fort. It's just brilliant. You can get lots and lots of lovely food cooked up.
Nice.
And then you can attack this fort, fight your way through it, and then explore it. The forts themselves look awesome. They're so well designed. They've got various different levels. There's a supply room at the top you have to find a key for. There's a treasure room at the bottom. You can see that little grate there at the water. Those grates are operated by pulleys. You can load your loot onto a little kind of I'm trying to think of the word now off the top of my head. There's a little like platform attached to a pulley, and then you can kind of wheel it out into the middle of that and harpoon it straight off your boat. There's a bunch of bunk beds that you can have a wee snooze in. There's assorted cannons aiming out to sea. I mean, you can technically take over this fort and then hold it against other ships that are coming. There's also a lot of talk about how they're going to be using these as potential roleplay options. And I think the roleplay capabilities of these forts are amazing. You imagine if you're doing a sort of community takeover, or maybe if private servers come on, imagine you could have one of these forts as your base.
That'd
I mean,
be really cool.
you could actually like launch attacks on your enemy's base or defend it and all that. I just love it. It's really, really cool. And the new update happened today. I haven't had a chance to have a shot of it yet, but there was a new update today, because today they have launched the brand new adventure, Forts of the Forgotten. And this ties into the last adventure, which was Shrouded Islands, and now Forts of the Forgotten. So there's been a few things happening. The Reapers are up to something. Golden Sands has been taken over.
So what happened? Because last time we talked about it, the Green Mist had descended, and then
so the Green Mist's descended, and the citizens of Golden Sands have gone missing. They're gone.
And nothing's happened yet. Again,
well,
nothing's come back or anything?
There's a little trailer for Force of the Forgotten, and indeed, it appears people were wondering, because the forts have a prison cell in them. There's a prison cell at the bottom of them, and you can only open the prison cell door with the prison key, and people could not find the prison key. Everyone's going, where's the bloody prison key? This is unbelievable. They've not put the prison key. Well, in the trailer for Force of the Forgotten, Wanda, the lovely Wanda from the weapons shop on Golden Sands, is locked in the cell. So you're going to have to fight your way on and rescue Wanda, I guess. I mean, I'm super excited about doing the next one. I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to. I've got a really busy weekend ahead of me. But hopefully I'll get a chance to do it soon. Because these are essentially timed events. You don't get to do them for very long. But they look really cool. And do you know, it's just a sign that Rare are just... I am loving the seasons format of Game of Thrones. I think they're doing a really... Game of Thrones. Jeez, I was listening to the audiobook of Game of Thrones yesterday. I've got it on my mind. Sorry, apologies. The season format of Sea of Thieves I'm loving it. I think they're doing it. Do you know, I nearly said Game of Thrones earlier on as well. That's unbelievable. Well, I really love Game of Thrones and I love Sea of Thieves. So there we go. It's just two of those things.
Game of Thieves.
Game of Thieves. Sea of Thrones. Can you imagine a Sea of Thrones?
Gosh.
But yeah, you know, I just love the I feel Rare are really, really sticking to the tools, not rules thing, and they're just adding more and more tools. And these sea forts themselves, there's already folk having all sorts of bonkers shenanigans with them. We got Paolo, myself and Ryder Die sailed with Paolo the other night on my stream, and we got we did a fort, and Paolo hadn't played Sea of Thieves in ages. It was his first time doing season 6, and it was just lovely. It was just loads of fun, just cutting about the fort and having a laugh and just exploring things. And you know, there's even like little cupboards and nooks and crannies that you have to open and search for things, and you're finding loot or bags of gold or food or keys in the little things. It's just adding more and more to the world that they're building. And I'm absolutely loving it. I really am. It's fabulous fun, and the new Phantom designs are great as well. And it's quite nice having interior locations.
Yeah,
Because we don't really have a lot of those in Sea of Thieves. It's normally a
Yeah.
cave or whatever, or you're inside a ship, but you're actually here inside stone walls. Yeah, just great fun. And of course, the other game that I've been playing, that I know you've been playing, Blunder,
Yeah.
that Paolo's also been playing, and we've not really had a chance to all speak about this on the podcast since it came out. But of course, it is FromSoft's knock right out the park masterpiece, smash hit, Elden Ring. Blunder, what you know, I know you and Paolo both talked about this a fair bit last time. What are your thoughts now? How are
I'm
you enjoying
still
Elden Ring?
really enjoying it. I played it on Sunday there, and I hadn't played it since the last time I streamed it. So I was like, oh, because I'd stopped so I could finish Forbidden West. Okay, it's just so much fun. Like, and it was just like I find it really chilled to play. Like, I just don't care about dying and stuff. I just love running around and going, "What's that over there?" and trying things out and be like, "Oh, that didn't work. Let's try something different." And we did lots in Sunday. I get a rapier. I got a new weapon. I got a bunch of new ashes. And then I defeated the first big story boss. And got to
Nice.
explore like the big castle that he was stopping me getting inside. So
Well done,
like,
you, because I can encourage you to go and have a go at him, and he smacked you around a little bit. So I see you obviously did a bit of leveling up.
I did. I went away and and even in that stream, I went from level 20 to 26. So I went up 6 levels. I got my new sword, I got my wolf ashes, and then I think it was my third reattempt, like third attempt that stream, maybe fourth attempt that stream that I defeated them. But it's just kind of going running around and going, what's over here? I genuinely feel like I'm just out on a wee adventure, doing what I want, seeing what I want. And the updates, obviously, I hadn't played. The fact they've added markers, because I opened my map and I was like, the hell are they? I was like, those are new.
Yeah.
And the chat was like, yeah, they added in a patch. I was like, well, that makes life a wee bit easier just to remember where you used to go. And I quite like that, but I still take my notes. I've got highlighters. So I did. I got highlighters to highlight what different important things mean. So I'm still taking my notes. Like, we found a wee NPC who we all adored, and then we tried to go revenge them, and then the bad guys were made of stone. I couldn't do anything, so I had to run away. And it's just wee moments like that I love. So I'm definitely enjoying it and kind of heading through the big castle. I ran away from my bad guy for like 5 minutes screaming because I couldn't figure out where else to go, and he just kept chasing me. But it was fun.
It's a fantastic open world. It really is. It's got what makes open worlds really good. And this was kind of the problem. Remember, I'm going over old ground, but I always had a slight issue with the Ghost of Tsushima open worlds, because despite the fact it was really, really beautiful, it didn't really feel that alive. Whereas, and although I don't think, I still think Red Dead Redemption 2, for instance, is probably the greatest open world I've
Mhm.
experienced. Maybe The Witcher 3. It just where everything feels alive. Um, and because it is a Souls, essentially a Souls game, there is still an element of people having, a set track, and this guy will be here at this sort of time and all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. But it genuinely makes you want to explore. And
Mhm.
I cannot believe the amount of hours I've put in that game, and I'm still finding new areas. I'm still finding new sites of grace. I'm finding new dungeons in places that I thought I'd done.
Yeah. My
Places
God,
I've
I killed a bear that I thought was a boss and quickly realized it was just a normal bear. Like the big ones, the big giant ones. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I could just kill the boss. And I was like, oh no, that was just a bear.
Well, there is one of them that is a boss, but yeah, the majority of them,
Mm,
yeah. I'm in a kind of funny place at the moment because I'm quite powerful at the moment. I've got a
mhm.
really good weapon, and because I've been sort of paying attention to the scaling, my weapon is scales to strength and dex, and I've been sort of adding to both of them, kind of one at a time, kind of leveling up. So I
Wait,
can.
there's maths involved? Oh no.
Well, no, not really. See, when you look at your leveling up,
Yeah.
or see when you go to your weapon and
Hmm.
you check down the weapon and you check like when you upgrade your weapon, or
Oh
if you
yeah,
add
aye.
if you
Hmm.
add ashes to your weapon, for
Yeah.
instance,
Oh, yeah, I
um
did one that lowered my
and
dex and then I was
yeah,
doing less
and
damage. I was like,
well, but see down the bottom, so it'll then say dex, and it'll go like from an E to a D,
yeah,
or it'll go from a D to an E, or whatever. Basically what that means is that those will correspond to strength or dex or faith
yeah,
or intelligence or whatever. And that basically means that if you level up those particular things, you'll make your weapon better. And
yeah.
that weapon will become much more powerful due to those things. And once you start
Hmm.
to pay attention to the scaling of it, it makes a big difference. Um, so I'm kind of at a stage at the moment where I'm happening across bosses and dungeons and stuff, and I'm basically slapping them about. um, there's probably around 10 or 11 bosses in this game that I've killed first time.
Wow.
Um, there's only a handful that I've had a tough time with. Um, and so far I've not had any sort of one that's taken me more than like 10 attempts. But
Yeah,
I've also just been a wee bit more. You're not quite. You don't get stuck in these games quite the same way you do, or
yeah.
this game quite the same way you do in other Dark Souls games, because you're generally like, oh, well, I'll just go and check the other area of the map for a
Yeah.
while, and I'll do some leveling up over there. There's loads to do. Whereas on a standard Souls game, you've generally only ever got maybe one or two locations you can go to, and if you kind of get stuck in a path, and I believe Heck and MJ was talking about this, because I know MJ's been having a tricky time with Elden Ring. It's not quite been doing it for her.
Yeah.
I don't know whether she's warmed to it or not yet. Um, but um, traditionally there would maybe only be a couple of paths at any one time, and everything leads onto one another,
Yeah.
like branches in a tree in a Souls game traditionally, or even in Bloodborne. And so if you get stuck on one branch, you kind of have to go to the other branch and hope you can get a bit further there, or else you have to just keep fighting and keep fighting until you get past that bit. And that's not for everyone, and it can be very tricky. But obviously, with Elden Ring and the world being so vast, you can just go somewhere else. But of course, you do then come to an area and you get absolutely battered, and you're like, "Oh, I don't think I'm strong enough for this bit." um, but I'm just really liking it. I'm probably going to have to jump. I'm a little bit stuck right now on exactly where I need to go right now. I'm kind of feeling
Oh,
like I want to progress the story. I've done a couple of story bosses. I need to kind of get back on the story now. Because I'm a little worried that I'm going to end up over leveled
yeah.
if I don't start progressing with the story again. And it's quite nice to go back to areas and slap folk about who gave me such a hard time in in the early parts of the game. But I don't really want to get to the tough bosses, the bosses that everyone else has been having a hard time with, and then
Yeah.
just have a really easy experience. I want to kind of experience it pure. So I'm probably going to need a wee nudge in the right direction because there's an item I need and I can't bloody find it. Um, but I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. And it's a funny one because I wasn't that hyped about Elden Ring until I saw. Do you remember? I think it was January or February. They did a state of play or
Mm.
something about it, and I told you guys I was like, I saw the guy riding about on a horse, and then a dragon came down and he had a fight with a dragon on horseback, and it was amazing. And like got me quite hyped. And then obviously I wasn't sure if I was going to get it and all that sort of stuff. And then we basically all talked us all into getting it because we got so hyped the night before it came out. I'm bloody loving it. And I mean, anybody bringing a game out now, this has been a mega monster hit. The folk have been astonished. And I can't really remember a game where everybody's been talking about it. For better or for worse, this game is on everybody's lips. People are genuinely talking about this game constantly. And I tell you, it's going to need to be a special game that's going to beat this for Game of the Year, I reckon, right now. And even if it turns out that Elden Ring isn't the game of the year, do you know what I mean? It still is the game of the year. Do you know what I mean? Even if it doesn't necessarily count, eventually become like say God of War Ragnarok comes out and gets tens everywhere or something like that. I still feel that regardless of how brilliant it probably will be, or hopefully will be, and I still think that this will still be the year that Elden Ring came out, 2022. It's fabulous. It's really a really great game, and it's got that really funny way of every time I talk about it, I'm just like, I kind of just want to play Elden Ring. Yeah. So anything else to say about Elden Ring?
Yeah, it's good.
It's good. It's good. Well, the viewers have been in touch. The viewers / listeners have been in touch. Let's see what they've been saying. I reckon some folk out there might have been playing Elden Ring as well. Let's see. First up, we've got Laura Dora. I don't really do that on the podcast, do I? I don't really sing that. I sing that on my stream. That'll be weird if people never heard me do that before. Anyway, Laura Dora's been in touch. Started Tunic, then rage quit Tunic, and chilled on Valheim. Valheim's a great game. I need to play more of that. I really, really need to play more of Valheim.
I've got it, never started it.
It's really good, Blunder. I think you'd really like it, actually.
I think so many things to play.
We could have a lot of fun with the Nearly Men. We really should do a Nearly Men Valheim stream at some point. Although I need to get more RAM from my machine because I was getting quite a lot of slowdown when I was building my fantastic house. I think it was just a few too many things. I was streaming it as well at the same time, and I think it was maybe just struggling a wee bit. But it was great. Jamesy42 has been in touch. Guardians of the Galaxy. That's, of course, on Game Pass. Tried Tunic and agree with Laura Dora. Very frustrating. I've not. Do
you know what it is? And look up after this.
Check out. Also, hitting my balls into the water for 2K21. Yeah. Subtle Sraff has been in touch, saying Mortal Shell sucks an absolute bleep.
Oh my.
And then says, I'm including some reviews from the Microsoft Store to back me up. Other than that, Greedfall is fun, and Far Changing Tides is challenging and clever. So Greedfall's quite fun. It didn't quite do it for me. It's not quite my game, but we got sent a code for this to play. I think we got a couple of copies, actually. Myself and Paolo both played it. And it's kind of interesting because it's sort of The Witcher kind of meets Assassin's Creed meets Dragon Age. it's kind of a bit of all of those games together. It was quite cool, but it just didn't. Again, it's got that sort of Dragon Age style combat, which I don't
Right.
really like. I don't like just keep pressing the X button and then move to the circle button for a different move, and then the triangle button for your magic, and then back to X. And I find that really boring. I prefer to actually be the more sort of real time fighting. It's not quite my thing. Yeah, and Subtle has included some reviews. Somebody called Broken Thumbs said that Mortal Shell was like Dark Souls if you were waist deep in glue. And then somebody else called I Love R34 basically said that the combat again feels like I'm stuck in the mud. And then the block feels like the parry and the dodge. I don't know. I'm a bit confused. But yeah, apparently that person said it's one of the bad soul likes. I would be interested to hear from Original Steven, because I remember Original Steven was streaming
He finished it. Yeah, he played all the way through.
I don't remember him hating it at all. So it could be interesting, but certainly not one for Subtle.
No.
Daybreak has been in touch. I've been playing the Long Dark. Oh, what game? The Long Dark story mode, The Sims, and someone convinced me to get Dread Hunger, which I suppose was okay. Unbelievable, Daybreak. That was me, by the way. That was me convinced me to get Dread Hunger. I've only done a tiny little bit of the Long Dark story mode, but it's really good. Great game. I love it. Viva La Hazy has been in touch. Viva La Hazy. Been pouring 55 hours into Elden Ring. Nearly finished it now. Starts off excellent, but the final third, or the last third's a total slog, especially if you're following the direct path of the story rather than aimlessly wandering. Well, see, I think that's the thing. I think you kind of do need to do some wandering. That's kind of my thought. I wouldn't
just rush the
story. I think it would be very difficult if you weren't. I'm a little concerned that I've gone a bit too far in the other direction, but I would encourage people to explore. FromSoft have made a massive open world for a reason. It's there to be explored and experienced rather than just battering your head against a wall. But it's really interesting that you've still 55 hours in. That's all. I mean, you spent 55 hours in a game. You must be enjoying it, more or less. Audentior has been in touch. Playing Red Dead 2 for the first time since my first playthrough at launch. Nice. I did actually see a tiny bit of Audie playing Red Dead 2, and I kind of had to stop watching because I was like, I'm going to end up playing Red Dead 2 again, and I don't have time for that. But that's a lot of fun. Also, Valheim, and enjoying the new season of Sea of Thieves. Yay. And the aforementioned Original Steven, who I do actually see has been in our chat. Original Steven, let me just jump to Original Steven for a second. In the chat, this is a live Original Steven comment. I loved Mortal Shell. Finished it and would recommend it for any Souls fan, though it does play a bit differently, as there's not much of a leveling system. Okay, that's interesting. Original Steven did also say, been trying to balance Dead by Daylight, Elden Ring, and Tomb Raider 3. A nice wee mix of games. That's an interesting mix of games. That is an interesting mix of games. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody that got in touch there. I really appreciate it. If you would like to get in touch and tell us your thoughts on games, here is how you do it.
Love to hear from you. Find us on Facebook as The Nearly Men, Twitter and Instagram, where we are at Nearly Men, or email info@thenearlymen.com.
There we are. Right, we've got some new releases. Blunder, would you like some fresh off the press new releases for you?
Punch it.
Okay, so The Ascent is coming out on PS4 and PS5. That is out today. You can go home right now. Yeah, it's there. We've also got that one's from Curve Games, by the way. Expedition Zero is coming to PC from Tiny Build. That's also out today. Lumate, the Master Moat Chronicles, is on PC, PS4, Xbox, Switch, and Stadia. That's from Wire Productions. That's also out today. Ghostwire Tokyo is on PC and PS5 from Bethesda Softworks. That's out. It says it's out tomorrow. It says it's out tomorrow. There we are. Oh, that's right. There was like a
pre-order, get 3 days early access.
That's correct. I forgot. I thought you'd the old days when you went to the dodgy shop.
Absolutely not. I love pre-ordering a game now when it's early access. That's how they get me. They're like, if you pre-order, you get it. I'm like, yes. Such a sucker.
Unless you're Capcom, in which case you'll just buy the same game again anyway.
Yeah.
Kirby and the Forgotten Land is coming to the Switch. That is tomorrow. That is out the 25th of March. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is out PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, and of course Xbox One. That's from 2K Games. That's also out tomorrow, the 25th. Moving ahead to the 29th of March, we've got Crusader Kings 3 coming to PS5 and Xbox Series X. I'm quite interested to see how that runs on console. That's quite cool. I mean, it will run, but more how it controls. But that'll be quite interesting. In Nightmares coming to PS4 from Maximum Games. That's on the 29th of March. We've also got Uragun. Uragun's coming to PC. No, Uragun. Cool to Play is the publisher behind that. That's on the 30th of March. Death Stranding Director's Cut. A very beautiful, very unusual, very interesting and fun game, actually. You guys were very taken by it on PS4. I was lucky enough to play the Director's Cut on PS5. We get sent a code for it. I was the lucky one to get a hold of that. It's great. It's great. PC players, if you've been tempted, you can now get it. It's out on the 30th of March from 505 Games. Pirates of Gravity. Oh, it's about pirates. That's out on PC from Inversive Games. That's on the 31st of March. We also have Coromon. That's coming PC and Switch. That's going to be on the 31st of March. That's from Freedom Games. Also on the 31st of March, you've got Fix Fox, which is coming to PC. And finally, on the 31st of March, coming to PC, PS4, and Xbox One from the wonderful devs Devolver Digital, we have Weird West. There is a couple more. We have Starship Troopers. Terran didn't check the rest of the page. I had to scroll down. Starship Troopers Terran Commands coming to PC from Slithering Limited. I love Starship Troopers. That could be good. And a couple of games in April. On the 5th of April, you've got Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. This looks quite good, actually. This is coming to basically everything. PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, and Switch. And finally, on the 7th of April, you've got Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers edition coming to the Switch from Square Enix. So that's your new releases. Blunder, did we have anything from the chat?
A few things. So Tommy B, Tommy Box 298 said we are now the occasional men.
Aren't we just? Aren't we just?
Hasselboy says, congrats, Colin and Sherry Bobbins.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, my wife and I are expecting our first child. And we got to announce it today. So thank you very much. I did see everyone's being very, very kind in the chat, and there's been so many nice messages on social media and Discord and everything. And thank you so much. I will endeavour to get back to you all. It's going to take some time. We're a bit overwhelmed, but thank you very much.
The Nearly Men said, I'm sitting here eating jelly babies. This is the best podcast ever.
Mr. Kozinski, just sitting there doing absolutely hee-haw. I say that, he's pushing lots of buttons.
To be fair, normally I'm sitting eating something usually, so...
I know, I mean, Blunder's usually sitting pocket munching during the podcast. So.
Soft foods and podcast night, hard foods and other nights. Daybreak 59 said, Croc, give me updated Croc in regards to bringing PS1 games. I would be all over that. I loved Croc, it was amazing.
I played it, it's a bit rough.
That's a rough one, that would need a wee bit of tweaking. And regarding Final Fantasy normal names, Lindsay Marr went, Paul, a normal name.
Indeed, a very basic name. Very basic name. Apologise to anybody out there who's called Paul, with the exception of Paul Kozinski.
And
entirely meant to offend him.
I was just so the Neil Men said, can't wait to meet baby Steve Stevenson.
Nope. There we have it. That was your podcast. I don't know when I'm going to be streaming. I've got no idea. I might be streaming on Sunday evening, but I'm not sure. I am working quite a lot this weekend, so I don't know when I'll be streaming. Probably Sunday night. I assume Paolo's not usually on a Friday. I don't know if that'll change because he's got the Rona and all that. Who knows? He's not got anything else to do tomorrow, so you never know. He might be on. But he'll definitely, I'm sure, be on for the Sunday social on Sunday at his usual time of 10 a.m. And of course, Blunder, are you planning to stream this weekend, Sunday afternoon?
Well, no, because I'm being a wonderful child and going to see my mum because it's Mother's Day.
So it is completely forgotten.
Just a reminder, everyone. But no, I've got to go back down to Glasgow. My sister and me are taking my mum out for lunch or dinner or something. So remember, Mothering Sunday is Sunday.
Don't forget Mother's Day. Completely forgot about that.
You're all welcome for the announcement.
I might not be streaming. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, everyone is see Colin's eyes as he realised that. I saw the face that. Oh,
do you know the thing is that I did actually know that, but I just completely forgot. I was in sort of autopilot. So, if you've all vicariously through my fright also got a fright, then you have time, unless you were listening to this after Sunday the 27th, and then you've missed it, and then you're a bad child.
I might not be on the weekend. I should be back next Tuesday.
Blunder Boy showing us all up. Paulo says there, you took the fright for us all, Colin. Yeah, didn't I just? That is that. I mean, we will certainly be back. We will be back next week on the Nearly Men channel, next Thursday for some multiplayer madness. Who knows? Maybe it'll be some Weird West. I don't know. We'll maybe see if we can make those dates work. Might be that should be about right. But you will get us back here for the podcast on the 7th of April. It will be episode 106. So that will be at 8 p.m. But apart from that, get well soon, Paolo.
Yeah.
I hope he's feeling better soon.
Yep.
Blunder, have you anything else to say?
Charge the joypads.
There we are. The wisest of words from the wisest of us all. That's it. Thank you so much for listening, folks. We'll be back next week. We'll see you then. Thank you so much for listening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.